Hello and welcome. Thanks so much for taking a moment to stop and watch my video today. I am showing you a card. This is an easy to make card, and it is a design that you will probably want to copy time and time again. This is the project that we made last night at our mystery stamping event held via Zoom. So be sure and watch for a date announcement for the next one, because friends from all across the country are able to join in since you're stamping from home via Zoom. So let's talk about the ease of this card and the minimal supplies that you'll need. You want to start with a piece of 6x6 designer series paper. Now this can start as a 6x6, or if you have 12x12 paper that you want to use, of course, just cut it down to be a 6-inch square piece. I'm using a piece pulled from Inked Botanicals. This is a package of 6x6 papers. Beautiful colors and designs. Here are some of the fronts, and here are some of the backs. So when you're selecting your piece of paper, you want to choose a paper that you like the front and the back of the design, and you feel like they coordinate well together. Every now and then you'll have a front of a paper and a back of a paper that, although independently might be beautiful, they don't really coordinate well together. So that's the only thing that you need to make sure, is that you like the front and the back, because they're going to show on the front of your card at the same time. All right, then you are going to need either white or vanilla, depending on what you feel like goes best with your DSP. You need 2 pieces. These are 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, 2 of those. Then you need 1 strip of some kind of a complementary paper. So in the example that I'm going to show you right now, I'm just using colored cardstock. I'm using Lost Lagoon, which is one of the colors in the paper, and you need a 1-inch strip by 5.5 inches, 1 by 5.5. Now this paper could also be a specialty paper. This piece could be like a border die cut. So there's lots of options. At the end of the tutorial, I will show you several other cards that I made that show some of the options. But the simplest way is just a piece of colored cardstock, 1 inch by 5.5 inches. Then you will need a scrap to stamp your words on. So I have already prepared a circle and also a larger circle to back it. This piece is optional. You really only need this, but you'll see when you start dressing it up, you might want to layer your sentiment. And then what I did from my white scrap and my crushed curry scrap is I went ahead to save time and cut 2 circles out of stylish shapes. All right, so I've done that off camera. A larger circle and a little bit smaller. This one will accommodate my word stamp. Okay, so very minimal pieces. From there, you may want some embellishments, but we will get to that in a moment. All right, you're going to take your 6x6 paper and we're going to cut a piece off. So you will need a paper trimmer. And you'll take a look at your 6x6 and determine if it has a direction or not. So in the instance of this paper, it really doesn't have a direction, and so I don't have to think about one more thing. If your paper does have a direction, like in this example, then you want to make sure that you do your cutting, which we're going to do next, off of the top or the bottom. Don't cut it off the side. Okay, so I'm just going to instruct everybody to cut a strip off of the top or the bottom, but if you're using this paper, it doesn't matter. A non-directional pattern, it doesn't matter what's the top or the bottom. All right, let's do that. So I'm going to say that this is the top of my paper, this is the bottom, and I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch off the bottom of my piece of paper. So I've got it in my trimmer at the 1/2 inch mark and have cut that strip off. Now we are going to use that, so don't throw it away and don't let it get too far. All right, the next thing you're going to need to do, and since I have my trimmer here, I'm going to do my scoring on this. Otherwise, grab your Simply Scored. It's actually what I prefer, but to not have to go and get it, I'm just going to do my scoring with this. Now, you're going to turn your paper so the top is at the top. This should be a 6-inch length. All right, from here to here is 6 inches. That is going at the top of my trimmer or my Simply Scored. You're going to make a score line at a 1/2 inch. I'm using my scoring blade here, not my cutting blade. There's my 1/2 inch. And then you want to make another score line at 4 3/4 inches. So I've got this paper, the 6 inches is across. This dimension is 5.5. I am scoring at 4 3/4 inches. All right, there we have it. Now at this point, you can go ahead and fold on your 2 score lines. The skinny little 1/2 inch one is going to fold to the back. And the larger fold is going to fold to the front. Okay, and then this is how the card front is going to look, and that's why I wanted you to make sure that the back of the paper looks nice with the front of the paper. Okay, next we are going to attach our first piece of plain cardstock. And this is the only part that's a little bit confusing. So if you are stamping along with me, take a moment and watch what I do first, and then pause the video and then follow the step after I do it, okay? I also want to make mention that I did not create this design myself. I saw it in more than 2 places on other either YouTube or Pinterest, and so I am simply casing a design that I saw that somebody else created. Okay, you're going to take your card front, flip it over so that all that is exposed is the back of the paper and your little 1/2 inch strip. You're going to apply adhesive to that 1/2 inch strip on the underside. Okay, so this is the back of the print. I'm going to say that again. Here's the front of the card. This is print number 1. This is print number 2. Flip it over, and you're going to put adhesive here on the strip of print number 2. Now, lay your cardstock onto this back of, this is going to be the back of the card, and line it up with 3 edges. These are the 3 edges. This side, and this side. You don't really want to worry about that gluey edge first. You want the rest to be lined up nice and even. Once you've got it lined up, press your flap down. Whoops, mine slid. I got to hold on to it. And seal that edge. All right, now we have the front of the card, the inside of the card, and the back of the card. The next thing we're going to do, and this step is optional, is we're going to go ahead and put another piece of cardstock here to cover this seam. It's not critical, but if you want to add a little extra weight as well as cover up that seam, that's what we're setting out to do. So now I'm going to apply my liquid glue, and this is on the back of the card. And I'm going to line this up as best I can on all my edges. And we're going to cover that seam that we just made. Like so. All right. So in review, this is going to be the front of the card. Here's the inside, And here is the back. If you do end up with any little edges that aren't quite lined up real good, you can always stick this on your paper trimmer and trim it up. Okay, now let's finish the front of the card. So you're going to take your cardstock strip. This is going to go right here. So I'm going to put a little glue on the edge of this flap. I'm going to gently lay this on here and then flip it over to the way it's going to look so I can get as much or as little of that color that you want to have showing. Okay, again, I've got a little excess up there. Don't worry about it. We're just going to trim it off in a moment. All right, and now you take the original DSP strip that you cut off, and I'm going to flip it over, and it's going to get glued on here. So what we end up with is all this pretty print and color on the front of the card. So let's glue that one on. A little bit of glue on the very edge of the colored cardstock. Add the strip. And remember, this started at a 6-inch length, so it's definitely going to be long and hang off. That's fine. We're going to trim. And press that into place. So that is all glued down. Okay, now would be a good time to use your scissors or your trimmer if you prefer, and just cut any of these edges that seem to be a little bit of an overhang. All right, there we have that. All right, now you have a choice to make at this point. We're going to seal this flap down. You can do it with your liquid glue, or I think it steps it up just a little bit if you use dimensionals. So I'm going to use 4 dimensionals in a zigzag pattern placed on this flap, like so. And seal that shut. So now it is sealed closed, but it does have a little raised element to it, and I think that that looks really nice. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is stamp our words. So I've got my white scrap. Usually I stamp first and then punch or die cut, but I wanted to go ahead and have this die cut ahead of time. I'm using this stamp set, Country Bouquet, which I know you think might be a Valentine's set. Yes, it is, but it's also about love and friendship. So we're going to use I Love That We Are Friends, and I'm also going to use this little branch. Now I'm going to stamp my first image in black ink. That will be my sentiment. And then I'm going to use Pool Party, which is one of the colors in my DSP. I think black is a great color to use when you're stamping your sentiments. It doesn't have to be a rule, but even if you have a lot of lovely colors going on, sometimes you just want your words to stand out in nice black ink. But if you wanted to choose a color that coordinates with the DSP, you could certainly use Calypso Coral, Lost Lagoon in this case, and it would look beautiful. All right, so I'm stamping in the center of my circle. I Love That We Are Friends. And then I'm going to take my Pool Party . I don't want it to be too dark, so I'm going to stamp off on some scratch paper and then onto my circle. It's very soft, very subtle. All right, it's subtle, but you can definitely see it there. Okay, and a little adhesive to attach circle to circle. Now, like I said, this piece is completely optional. If you don't want to have it mounted on another piece, this can go directly onto the card. See that? Super easy. Okay, I'm putting it on a crushed curry circle from Stylish Shapes. I'm going to add some dimensionals now to this. I think 3 will do nicely. All right, and then you can determine your placement. This can go in the middle of the card. It can go high and to the right. I mean, you have different options. I'm gonna go ahead. I tend to like the placement that's a little bit to the right and left. And I'm going over this little flap onto the card. And all I'm going to do is add some embellishments to go on this. At this point, you could add some ribbon or twine. I am going to look and see if these pastel adhesive backed sequins look good. I kind of like the blue to pull out the blue that's in the paper. So I'm going to use 3, kind of staggered in a somewhat triangle, okay, like so. And there you have it. A super fast and easy card made with a DSP paper. And you don't have any waste of your paper. You're getting to see the front and the back of the paper. And it's just a really nice card design that is one to copy time and time again. Let me show you the other ones that I made. This was the card that I actually stamped during mystery stamping last night. Same paper pack, inked botanicals. And this image was the same. You can see that I chose vanilla cardstock this time. And I did go ahead and use white this time. There's white and vanilla in my paper. Then this is from Hello Irresistible, I believe is the name of the paper. And this time it has a little smush of twine and some different embellishments. On this one, I chose to use a glimmer paper, and I also added die cuts. So this one is stepped up quite a bit. This one has some shimmer paper as well on this strip and my circle. And then this time I did a little bow. On this one, the shimmer paper is here, but I chose a different color cardstock on this punch and some embellishments. How about this one? This one is the simplest one of all. Nothing fancy. I stamped from Circle Sayings and used the punch that's in that bundle and just glued it on. No embellishments, nothing extra, and it's still super, super cute. Here's one with a heat embossed element right here. Now, if you noticed, I used this paper before. This is what happens if you don't check the direction of the paper. So on this one I did not, and you can see how when I ended up putting the card together, my print is actually running the wrong way. So on this one I took better care to notice the direction of the paper, but it still came out cute. And I have a little twine bow. On this one, I added some punched elements. So I've got a die cut sentiment and then added some little punched elements. Also, this strip, instead of plain, I die cut it. This is with a die from Zany Zoo. And then one more, let me show you. Again, this is the way the card would be designed. I'm going to bring this one in. It's at the same perspective. This is the way the card was designed. Here is my element that I chose to use a die cut from Basic Borders. But before adding my tag, I flipped it, and this card opens in this direction. So you have options if you want it to open like a book or if you want it to open this way. So there's just a few ideas and examples of cards that you can make with this really cute technique of using a 6x6 DSP to create your card. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I had a lot of fun making it. I had a lot of fun at mystery stamping last night as well. If you were part of that and now you watched today's video, please leave a comment and let others know that you enjoyed it, or share with us that you plan to make one of these cards as well. I've put a lot of information below this video in the description box, including a host code and also information on the products that I used today. So do be sure to click show more. And I do invite you, if you've never subscribed to my channel before, I invite you to do that. I appreciate it so much when you watch my videos. Until next time, happy stamping!